I was counting breaths when the retired chemist spoke. My son's nose had just bled again, quietly this time, a thin red line he wiped away like it embarrassed him. 14 tests, 14 clean results. Then the old man's hand froze mid-gesture, eyes locked on the bracelet around my child's wrist. "Take that off him," he said. "Now." I didn't move fast enough. He did. He twisted the clasp open like he'd done it 1,000 times before, scraped the inside edge with a coin, and went white. That was the moment my fear sharpened into something else. My mother-in-law had given my son that bracelet on his 6th birthday. Silver, heavy. A family charm, she said, smiling the way she always did. Warm, practiced, untouchable. She was generous with gifts, stingy with affection. The bracelet never left his wrist. She made sure of that. I trusted her. That's the part that still tastes bitter. She helped raise him while I worked, packed his lunches, kissed his forehead, told everyone she lived for her grandson. When the nosebleeds started, she blamed the weather, then allergies, then stress. She shook her head during hospital visits, clucked her tongue, held my hand while the doctors shrugged. I believed her because believing her was easier than imagining the alternative. Until the chemist wrapped the bracelet in his handkerchief like it might bite him. "This isn't decorative," he said quietly. "It's functional." He wouldn't explain more there. Park benches have ears. He gave me his card and told me to come back alone. That night, I didn't sleep. I watched my son breathe. I watched the bracelet on the kitchen counter, dull and innocent, reflecting the light like it had nothing to hide. I stopped crying somewhere around 3 a.m. That's when the planning began. The chemist confirmed what my instincts already knew. The bracelet wasn't meant to kill. It was meant to harm slowly, enough to weaken, enough to confuse, enough to never leave fingerprints. He didn't name the compound. He didn't need to. All I'll say, he told me, is that prolonged skin contact was the delivery. I thanked him. I paid him. I asked him to put everything in writing. He hesitated, then he nodded. Next came silence. I didn't confront her. I didn't accuse. I didn't cry. I smiled. I invited her for tea. I let her hug my son, without the bracelet. She noticed. "Where's his charm?" she asked. "He outgrew it," I said. Her eyes flicked to his wrist, then back to my face, just for a second, long enough. I started collecting. Medical records, gift receipts, old photos where the bracelet never left his skin, texts where she insisted he keep it on for protection. I hired a private lab, not to test the bracelet, that was already done, but to trace the purchase, specialty metals, limited sellers, one order, one buyer, her. I consulted a lawyer before I consulted my conscience. He told me what would hold, what would ruin her quietly, what would ruin her completely. I waited. The execution wasn't loud. It never is when it's done right. First, I removed her access, school pickups, emergency contacts, family accounts. She didn't notice at first. Control is invisible when you've always had it. Then I filed. Not a lawsuit, a report, with evidence that didn't scream, just whispered insistently, enough to trigger an inquiry, enough to make her phone ring. She came to my house the night she realized. "How dare you," she hissed, standing in my kitchen like she still owned it, "after everything I've done." I said nothing. I slid the chemist's statement across the table, then the lab report, then the purchase confirmation. Her face collapsed inward. Not guilt, calculation failing. "It was just to help him," she said. "He was always sickly. I needed to make him stronger." I leaned forward. "You needed to make him dependent." She slapped the table. I didn't flinch. By Monday morning, social services were involved. By Wednesday, her community roles were suspended pending investigation. By Friday, the story had found its way into places she couldn't control. The family turned on me, of course they did, until the evidence spoke for itself. The fallout was surgical. She lost access, she lost reputation, she lost the quiet authority she'd wielded for decades. No prison, that wasn't the point. The point was exposure, isolation, the long public unraveling of a woman who believed love gave her permission. My son stopped bleeding within days. That's how I knew it was over. I still think about the weight of that bracelet sometimes, how something so small almost broke us, how betrayal doesn't always roar, sometimes it hums softly against the skin until you're too tired to fight it. But I fought, and I won. I didn't scream, I didn't beg, I didn't destroy myself for justice. I planned, I waited, I let the truth do what it does best when it's finally given air. My son wears nothing on his wrists now. He doesn't need protection. I already took care of that.